buy his baby diamond ring. If that diamond ring don't shine, he gonna take it to a private eye. If that private eye can't see, he better not take the ring from me.
I'm so fucking blind.
Who are you?
Richard Flowers, Flowers.
What's your grandfather's last name?
One of them was Kwiatkowski and the other one was Wantów, Wantuch. In Polish, the W is pronounced with a V.
Why'd your grandfather change his name?
He did not.
Who did? Your dad?
My dad did. My father did, yeah.
How come?
He was in trouble with the steel mills with the union. And in them days, before computers, they used to blackball you before unions and that. And if you just changed your name, they needed manpower so you could go across the street and hire out unless you were blackballed.
What was your first job and what year?
I was a paper boy. I gave that up in 1952 when I graduated St. Albans. Then I, along with the paper boy, I sold ice cream on a cart at the Park District, ice cream bars and popsicles. And then I also was a caddy at Olympia Fields Country Club. Boy, that was a tough job. And I washed dishes, and my mother managed a restaurant on 94th and Ashland. I remember stealing a waitress's tip. I was a busboy. Oh God, how embarrassing. Then
Did you get caught?
yeah, one of the waitresses pulled me aside, says, "You know that lady that just left, she's a friend of mine. Do I have to call her back and ask her how much tip she left me?" And I said, "Yeah, but it was a standing Liberty quarter. I had to have it." So I would always, I was a petty thief, so to supplement my income.
You were loading the ship with Charlton Heston?
Yeah, he was doing a documentary on corn products out of South Chicago. That was much later. It was after I dropped out of Wendell. I went for 2 years, and then my mother said I wasn't going to hang around the house, so she put me to work in her restaurant washing dishes. And then one summer, my uncle came in, and he would come in the back room to have a bowl of soup, visit with my mother and myself. And she said, "Why don't you take him out there on the waterfront and teach him what life is about?" So he was going to take me out there for one summer, and I think that was in 1955 or 56. And last week I loaded 2 barges of soybeans out there, so that was like 1956, 56 years ago, no? Or it'll be 56 years ago. Took me out there for one summer. But in the meantime, after I had been out there for a couple of years, I got fired for sleeping on a job. And I went to work on construction for a while. I was on the biggest job I was on was they were starting the whole tollway system. In 1958, we finished the Skyway Bridge. And then my oldest daughter, Lisa, was born that year. And everybody thinks Mayor Daley was the first one to drive across that bridge, but he wasn't. I went across it before they even blacktopped it. I picked up my oldest daughter at the Jackson Park Hospital, and when she was born, and her mom Susan and I drove. We lived on the east side at the time, so we drove on the Skyway Bridge.
We're with Rich Flowers, and you were talking about driving across the Skyway with your wife and your new baby.
Yep. We got married in Kentucky.
Really?
Yeah, that was fun. I had a brand new 1956 Chevy. All that money I made to paper out and selling ice cream bars and that. Bought it from Hyde Park Chevy for $2,500. Bel Air, a V8. We were in an accident on the way home coming from Kentucky. And that should have been a omen about the marriage working out. So
It was an omen. You just ignored it.
it was, yeah. It was on the rocks, but it was like on the culvert. So.
When did you get your union card?
Oh, from the longshoreman, November 1958. Them days you had to be a part timer before you actually joined the union. 1958, so that's 54 years. This coming November will be 54 years that I've been a dues-paying longshoreman.
When was the last job you did?
In Burns Harbor, loaded a barge. It was routine except for the fact that it was 60 mile an hour gusts, wind blowing. I felt like a flag on it. The barge was jumping around, and it was an adventure.
Is it dangerous work?
Sometimes it could be. We have a safety meeting every morning before we go aboard to make sure that stuff doesn't happen, bad things don't happen. I was lucky. I only had a couple of broken bones throughout the first year, but.
Are you the last of the Mohicans?
From my old local in Chicago, Local 101, we have been absorbed by the local out in Burns Harbor now, but I'm the last one working out of Local 101. In fact, there's no more longshoreman locals in Chicago. Local 19 is gone. Local 101's gone. The checkers are gone.
Can you tell me about riding the train with your grandma to Jewtown?
Oh, my mother.
Was that with your mom?
Oh, for my communion suit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote a poem for that. That was a good experience. I'll never forget it. In them days, if you wanted a bargain, you had to go to Jewtown to get anything. Anything at all. You name it, they got it. If they didn't have it, come back in 20 minutes, they would have it for you. So I'll never forget that morning. It was up in the morning, cold, dark, drinking that coffee, hot and black. Walk around that corner, 91st Street, Blackstone, man, going for the streetcar. That hawk, man, the wind blowing. Got on the streetcar, went to 63rd Street, Stony Island streetcar. 63rd Street L, goes around the bend at South Park Avenue, and then it goes into the City of the Wind. So we got off the train on Roosevelt Road, across that river. That was another long hike for when you're like 6 or 7, I think 7 years old when you get your communion. And then we got in there, and the reason you go early, because if you're the first one, this is urban myth, that if you're the first one, the Jew will give you a good deal, because he's got to make that first sale. So there I was, and I got this wool suit on, and I'm standing there because I don't want it to touch my legs. or my arms, because it's wool and it's itchy. And the merchant has got me by one shoulder, and he's pulling me this way and holding in the back, showing off the fit and the quality. And my mom's pulling me the other way, and there I am, 7 years old. I'll never forget it. And she's harping at me, sit still, stand still, sit still. So there I am getting jerked around by this guy. And I think she bought the suit for $2. And then we're walking down Maxwell Street, and I said, buy me a gun, Ma, because they got cap pistols there. Ma, buy me a gun. She says, shut up. She says, see them gypsies in the store windows? Because there was gypsies. They would read your fortune. And they would sit there, look mysterious. And one had a mole on her face. And they had babushkas on. And they looked like they just got off the boat from Russia or Poland. And they were scary. And everybody knows that gypsies steal children. So I got scared. And then we had a hot dog. Maxwell Street hot dogs, the best. And Polish. Were good days. Everybody calls it the good old days. They weren't good. If you ever wait for a streetcar in the wintertime, man, it was not fun.
Told him to buy baby diamond ring. If that diamond ring don't shine, he gonna take it to a private eye.